Thank you for joining us on Korea Today. I'm Kim Min-jung. It was an emotional week for South and North Korean families who were separated by the Korean War. They got to see each other for the first time in more than half a century. Also riding high on the wave of emotion were the residents of the nation's fourth largest city of Daegu, whose city was awarded the hosting rights to the 2011 World Athletics Championships. Stay tuned for more on that shortly, but first in our opening image we have Mount 덕유, stretching from North Jeolla Province to South Gyeongsang Province, that boasts of beauty for all four seasons. It's considered one of the best tourist sites in the country, with its eye-catching scenery and relics representing Korea as well as a ski resort. Well, now let's get a check of the headlines. International optimism over progress on North Korea's nuclear issue has failed to translate into increased humanitarian aid to the impoverished North Korea. So says the head of the World Food Program, which has seen North Korea's chronic food shortage firsthand. The official claims the UN relief agency might have to suspend its operations in the north within 2 months if there is no immediate assistance. Nam Gi-young has this story.
The world's largest humanitarian organization says North Korea's severe food shortage will only get worse unless international donations flow in within the coming months. The director of the World Food Program's office in Pyongyang, Jean-Pierre Demargerie, is in Seoul to ask for South Korea's support for hunger-stricken children and women in North Korea.
During meetings in Pyongyang on Monday of this week, DPRK officials confirm that there is a 1 million ton food gap or deficit between the amount of food needed to feed the population and the amount of food that was grown in the country in the past year.
Mr. Demargerie and the program's Asia director, Tony Banbury, met with North Korean officials this week. Pyongyang, for the first time, has admitted experiencing a serious food crunch. Mr. Demargerie has said the situation in the north is not as bad as it was during the famine of the 1990s, in which at least 2 million people are believed to have starved to death. The UN agency resumed aid operations in May last year, after Pyongyang agreed to a 2-year food aid program for its most vulnerable population, mostly young children, pregnant women, and nursing mothers. The aid package is worth $100 million, but less than 20% of the funds have been collected from donor nations. The relief agency says up to 1/3 of North Korea's 23 million population is hungry, and that authorities there seem to realize that they cannot ignore the problem any further.
The DPRK ministry officials we met also indicated a new openness toward an increase of food assistance for the DPRK through the World Food Program. And accordingly, WFP is ready to increase food assistance to the people of DPRK. But we can only expand our operation if international donors contribute to us now.
North Korea last year suffered a major setback in crops after record-heavy rain wiped out vast tracts of farmland. Seoul is expected to resume rice aid in May, having halted shipments in July last year after North Korea test-fired missiles. Nam Gi-young, Arirang News.
A group of Iraqis suffering from heart disease have left Korea with a second chance at life. The 5, including a baby, received heart surgery funded by donations from a hospital near Seoul and Korean troops stationed in Iraq. Son Hee-kyung followed their story.
These Iraqis have big smiles on their faces, as they'll soon go home healthy after heart surgery. So says the pediatrician at Sejong General Hospital near Seoul.
The operations were not that difficult. All the patients are in good health and are counting the days until they leave the hospital.
The patients ranging in age between 2 and 21 received treatment for heart disease last week. The father of 6-year-old Abdurrahman Mohammed says he's overwhelmed to see his son walk around without constantly running out of breath. This 21-year-old patient is looking especially healthy. She's even dressed in her country's traditional costume.
In my country, we have good hospitals and good doctors in Baghdad, but I was unable to go there for an operation. So I'd like to thank Korea for letting me have my heart operation here.
This time, patients with congenital heart trouble were chosen, but the hospital says more operations for Iraqis will come in May and beyond.
Okay, we feel good in the Korea. They help to us and they make operation for the babies and the patients. Everything is okay, and it's very well the patient's health. They check after them about the echo by the echographic, and everything's okay, all right, and we feel okay.
To celebrate the occasion, a small ceremony was held in their hospital room. The patients and their families also got a treat from the hospital, a tour of the Korean capital. A delicious Turkish meal followed, in addition to visits to the country's tourist hotspots. A week has passed since they had their operations here, thanks in part to Korean troops stationed in Iraq. More than 200 troops from the Zaytun unit collectively donated 10 million won, around $10,000 for the Iraqis, including the children. Sejong General Hospital provided the operations free of charge to thank the Zaytun unit for their contributions in Iraq. Since 2004, medics at the unit have treated more than 50,000 Iraqi patients without charge as part of Zaytun's rehabilitative mission there. Son Hee-kyung, Arirang News.
Well, if you have any comments that you'd like to share with us or an interesting story, please post a message on our Korea Today website at www.arirang.co.kr. Well, that's it for Korea Today this week. We'll bring you a special report on the outcome of the free trade talks between Seoul and Washington next week. In our closing video, we have the moment Daegu and its residents had waited 4 years for. The International Association of Athletics Federations announced the selection of the city to host the 2011 World Athletics Championships. Please enjoy and see you next week.
The winner is the